Well, I'm putting spotlight on tea this time around, where we have seen the tea prices continue to gain up. When you talk about India, it is the second largest tea producer, it is the fourth largest exporter and world's largest tea drinker. When you look at 2021, this is going to be a second straight year when we are looking at lower production of tea. In 2020, it was about lockdowns and floods that led to a lot of destruction in sense of crop. The Indian Tea Association says that they are benchmarking the 2021 crop to 2019, as 2020 was an exceptional year. 2020 we saw a lot of concerns coming in, and 2021 as well. Assam, which produces nearly half of total Indian tea production, is looking at the worst drought in perhaps 3 decades, and that has led to a lower crop already. When you look at the first fortnight of May, there was a decline of 30% in the crop. The month of April went down the similar way, when we saw 30% of a decline in crop that time around as well. May also marks the second flush of the season here, and that has seen a lot of destruction right now. Though not all is lost, because the market says that there have been some recent trades and that might lead to some recovery in the crop going forward. But the tea as an industry has been suffering a lot. We are looking at fixed costs, wages, bank finance, and that constitutes nearly 70% of the total cost of producing tea. And then there are concerns about labor itself, the weather concerns, and the point that the demand also seems to be declining quite strong. Unlike in 2020, when the tea demand was strong, there was a hoarding of sorts because people did not know when the markets would reopen and people were buying extra. But 2021, that also is not happening. One is, it's a second year in a row, and there have been job concerns, there have been salary cuts, etc. And people do not want to buy premium teas. This is the lower rung of the pyramid, which is buying less, which is buying cheaper varieties. And there is a lot of price sensitivity that we have seen come into the markets. Also, when you look at the prices itself, well, we have seen the prices of tea also gain up. The tea prices hit all-time high in the year 2020, and 2021 tea prices are trading higher than that average right now. When you look at the average price of Assam tea this time around, it has crossed above 210 rupees per kg as well. So there are concerns there right now. And as I said, much of this is being contained, or much of this is being actually calculated versus the 2019 prices and not 2020 really. When you look at the demand itself on a longer term, the 1.1 million ton of tea buying is what we saw in 2020, with expectation that we might see a constant increase, and 1.4 million tons is where India might reach when you reach 2026. The global numbers have been quite strong also. 2020, the global number was at around $2.1 billion worth of tea trades here, which the markets believe is expected to continue to go higher. And these numbers in 2021, even as the Indian tea demand fell by nearly 9.7%. The concerns are many right now. One, the retail shops have been shut for too long. The buyers have basically been missing. The Horeca segment has been totally shut. The in-house consumption, which was a savior last year, also seems to have declined. And this is exactly what Karan, Shah, Director of Society Tea, tells us, that these are difficult times for the wholesalers, retailers and the producer itself. As a producer, Society Tea, he says, has only passed on 25% of the total cost increase in case of tea to the consumers. But these are difficult times, and he explains all of that as he speaks to us.
Buying prices for producers was insanely high. It was as high as 80% in one stage. We passed on 25% to the consumer, especially because the virus had hit the tea estates as well. There was a lot of cases in Assam. So just it's the same problem all around, that the crop was, whatever they had was a lot expensive, and hence tea prices have shot up by on an average 30% since the lockdown started. But it was a very different situation the first time around. That time we were rationing goods out. So we literally, when we were asked, hypothetically speaking, for 100 kgs from a distributor, we could only ration out maybe 40, 30, depending on how strong the distributor was. To a complete U-Haul where, it's substantially hit. Horeca is not functioning. Horeca is being completely off. There's a large chunk of our sale coming from chaiwalas for a Hasmukh Rai. which is completely shut. Even the shops that are allowed to function is just between 9 to 11, and 2 hours is just not enough. And even if you look at the retail scenario of that time, a retailer would focus on selling to a consumer as opposed to spending that time unloading stock, so that they're buying the bare minimum, literally. If they can afford it, there's a lot of retailers that can't afford it. And distributors will not give stock on credit this time around, because it's this. I'm talking from literally, these are facts. Retailers have shut shop and left because they have no money to function, literally. In the larger scheme of things, this has been a bad month for consumer and producer alike. If anything is sold, it's the lower packs. Society will sell in tier 1. It's not seen too much of a drop, but tier 2, tier 3 is seen. Yeah, to be fair, modern trade has seen a ridiculous drop as well in all categories. There's rationalization. So the rationalization of portfolio is happening for the consumer, for trade even. So it's just people are holding back. The first time around, people hoarded. Now they don't have enough to hoard. The retailer wanted to hoard, the consumer wanted to hoard. Just keep, because no one knew. It was such an uncertain time. No one knew when shops will open up again. And as opposed to now, where people are reevaluating what's essential. So your dal, chawal, anaj is what they'll focus on. Literally, it's that bad a situation when I'm looking at the bottom of the pyramid.